Some stories on this channel are shared in a non-linear fashion. This is one of those stories. All events ultimately represent the same narrative story arc. This particular story focuses on Maya Rodriguez. I will put videos about certain characters in their own playlists. Enjoy. It's now been several years since Sergeant Maya Rodriguez transformed into a neotech heavy cyborg. Once human, she now shares her fate with her best friend and mentor, Derek's son, who tragically died defending her during a mission. Now Maya is on a mission alone. She has to get to Outpost 17, an abandoned facility, nestled deep within the Triverse, to locate a small three-man squad sent earlier to make contact with the synths, an alien species resembling tall, featureless humans, but entirely synthetic and far more technologically advanced than any cyborg we humans produce to this day. As Maya ventured through the darkness once again, to the portal facility, memories of her last visit here, actually her very first mission, surfaced. But this time was different. She was alone. Despite her formidable capabilities, Maya faces limitations. Her operational time is finite, and any significant damage she sustains cannot properly self-heal but instead requires maintenance. But regardless of that, she has to press on and succeed in her mission. Being a heavy cyborg instead of a regular soldier, the new Maya had undergone a significant upgrade. Her original human body simply couldn't handle the frequent dangers that they faced. When the opportunity to upgrade presented itself, she embraced it fully. The new body weighs around 400 pounds, with her armor adding another 200 pounds. Yet it moves as fluidly as any human body. This, thanks to AI operations that anticipate movement before her brain can consciously process it, ensuring the cyborg body doesn't feel cumbersome. Without these systems, even walking would be a struggle, much like the first generation of cyborgs who experienced a sluggish and lagging body. The upgraded version, however, is a technological marvel, seamlessly integrating advanced technology with the human brain. However, Maya hasn't quite warmed up to her new stature as a towering 7-foot giant. While there are some aesthetic differences granted to female cyborgs, the performance levels of their bodies are nearly identical to those of their male counterparts. However, she found herself distracted by her own thoughts, quickly returning to the present moment. The squad she was desperately searching for wasn't just a group of comrades, they were old friends, and crucially, her brother, Lieutenant Nico Rodriguez, was among them. They had gone missing and were declared killed in action. Neotech Command had decided they were not worth the risk, halting any further search and rescue efforts. And so officially, Maya's mission didn't exist, and she knew she'd be branded a deserter once her unauthorized departure came to light. Fortunately, she knew some people who could keep her departure secret for a while. But by now, others were likely starting to take notice that she had gone. Without fully considering the consequences, she loaded up her gear and set out alone, directly defying orders. The squad she was searching for consisted of normal humans, considered expendable by their superiors. They had been sent to negotiate with the aliens regarding their synthetic biology and any other technology that could be acquired, but communication with the team had ceased. Upon stepping through the portal device that is a gateway into the Triverse, Maya was met with the sight of a vast, desolate megastructure. Checking her operational time limit, she noted only 102 hours remaining. It would have been ideal if she could have left fully prepared, but sneaking out with a functional antimatter reactor would have been out of the question. All cyborgs were restricted to battery power only when not on any official mission. Moreover, the specific biobatteries required for use within the Triverse drastically limited her time. If only regular batteries could be used, her operational time would extend tenfold. But as we all know, electricity other than that generated by bioorganic structures does not flow inside the Triverse megastructure, limiting the technology available. This is why neotech heavy cyborgs contain two systems, an entire technologically advanced antimatter-based system, and a secondary limited biocirculatory system, limiting the cyborg's capabilities. Just getting to the old megacity where the portal was located, the journey here had consumed 48 hours. While her AI could handle routine tasks while she rested, using it in enemy territory was risky and generally advised against, unless absolutely necessary. Maya understood that there was no time for a slow and cautious approach, especially without the usual support that accompanied these units. She was intimately familiar with the role, having been a support soldier herself in the past. But now, she was known as the Crimson Titan, a title bestowed upon her for her extraordinary bravery after she single-handedly defeated a Razorface, a fearsome triverse monsters in hand-to-hand combat, a feat that was still considered nearly impossible by today's standards. With each passing hour, her operational time dwindled. As she navigated the vast megastructure, her singular focus was on finding her brother's squad. The urgency of her mission left no room for her to appreciate the remarkable sights around her. Yet she felt a familiar presence. She was being shadowed, as always, from a distance. Maya reached Outpost 17 with 82 hours remaining, a clear sign of the urgency of her mission. However, she found the outpost in complete disarray, looted and falling apart. It had clearly been decades since any humans had set foot there. The sight of blood in one of the barracks was ominous. As she scoured the base for any clues, her search turned up nothing, confirming the grim situation. Knowing she needed to continue her mission, but also recognizing the need for her brain to rest, Maya decided to sleep for 6 hours. During this time, her AI took over, operating in the background and plotting a course to the last known location of the synth's forward outpost. Meanwhile, a couple of hours passed by until Maya was abruptly awakened by a human voice piercing through the silence, captured by her sensors. The desperate cries for help left her with little choice. She had to respond, even if it might be a trap. This situation stirred memories of the past, particularly the incident that earned her the title Crimson Titan, a title she felt was unearned. While she had indeed fought a Razorface single-handedly, she had been severely damaged and knocked offline during the encounter. When she awoke, she found the Razorface dead before her. Although she insisted to the top brass that she hadn't defeated it alone, they still awarded her a medal for bravery, which she was forced to accept. Now, alone and far from any possible rescue, she was aware of her body's limitations. Despite its strength, it was no match for a Razorface whose razor-sharp teeth, while using sheer overpowering strength, could slice through her cyborg body as if it were mere wet paper tissue. However, before Maya left the base, she made a detour to the tech labs to pick up an experimental weapon that Omega Prime, an old colleague, owed her. She knew he wouldn't object to her taking it, even though it meant adding another court-martial to her record for desertion, this time for taking the only prototype. The last time she had seen the weapon, it was a cumbersome cannon with a backpack-sized antimatter power supply. Now, it had been refined to connect to a standard-sized palm port. However, the weapon's power demands were significant, and with her already limited power reserves, Maya hoped that firing it just once wouldn't deplete all of her stored bioenergy. As Maya approached the suspected location, she activated her dampeners. Better safe than sorry, as the saying goes. Glancing at her operational time, she noted 76 hours remained. On high alert for anything unusual, she spotted Sergeant Lara Jensen, wounded and in pain, crawling across an overpass. Lara's condition seemed like a classic setup for a trap. A wounded soldier cries out, luring rescuers into the open, where they could be easily targeted by a sniper. Despite the clear risk and the urgency tugging at her conscience, Maya decided to proceed cautiously. Her instincts screamed for her to rush to Lara's aid, but she knew that rushing could potentially endanger them both. So, she kept her distance, waiting to see if the enemy would reveal themselves, ready to react to whatever came next. This careful approach, while against her instincts, was dictated by the harsh lessons learned from her many battles. As Maya switched her body into power-saving mode, she watched her friend Jensen in despair from a distance, unbeknownst to Lara that help was already near. The enemy's decision to expose Lara suggested they either anticipated a rescue team or knew Maya was already there, possibly having observed her earlier at the portal. The ethos of no soldier left behind still held true among the ranks, even if the higher-ups at Neotech, a massive corporation, didn't always uphold those values. Hours later, a gunshot rang out, its sound unmistakably that of a pre-Mechron Earth-era weapon. Lara buckled over in pain, her screams pleading for help. Unable to restrain herself any longer and driven past her limit, Maya acted. The AI calculating bullet trajectories in a split second, she identified the source, a small window slit across the open space. As she spotted a barrel retracting, she knew she had to move quickly. Swiftly rushing towards the location, she didn't see any entrances, so. With a single leap, Maya crossed the vast distance and burst through the wall of the hideout, ignoring any damage to herself, catching the assailants off guard. To her surprise, the attackers were synths, which was peculiar given the typically friendly relations between humans and synths. As Maya faced her assailants, she noticed they were armed with their typical flechette weapons, generally used for hunting rather than destruction. These weapons were designed for precision, capable of maiming or outright killing with a single shot to the head. Even with her cyborg-reinforced skull, Maya knew a direct hit would be fatal. Reacting swiftly, she closed the distance to minimize their advantage, but not without cost. 2 flechettes pierced her torso, slicing straight through her. Good. Let the nanobots repair that damage, Maya thought to herself, relying on her own internal repair systems to handle the injury as she continued her advance, determined to overcome her foes and secure the safety of her friend. Using the full weight of her 600-pound frame, plus the momentum from her charge through the air and minus the wall, Maya delivered a devastating punch to the first synth. The force was so great that its head was severed, sending it flying, synthetic fluids splattering in all directions. The impact caused damage to her own fist and arm, as she had disengaged her safety protocols in the heat of the confrontation to make up for her low-power bio mode she was operating in. The second synth was about to fire his flechette gun when Maya, acting swiftly, grabbed the barrel. With minimal effort, she redirected it under his chin. The realization of his imminent doom flickered across his synthetic eyes as the gun emitted a final shriek. The expression, if one could call it that, was unmistakably one of recognition of his fatal error. Meanwhile, the last synth was struggling with a more archaic earth weapon. As it frantically tried to aim and fire, Maya seemed nothing short of a super soldier to them. Despite their synthetic nature, these beings had biological constraints. Maya, however, operated without such limitations, her entire body made to be a weapon. Bullets harmlessly bounced off her heavy armor as she charged at him, slamming the synth through a wall and into what appeared to be a chasm. His screams echoed down into the depths, ending with a faint, barely audible thud. Peering over the edge, Maya saw the synth still moving, albeit heavily damaged and likely not far from deactivation. It was a small mercy of their synthetic design that they didn't have internal organs to rupture. They could linger on, even in severe damage. Rushing over to Jensen, Maya found her friend still conscious but barely clinging to life. With urgency in her fading voice, Jensen murmured, "Nico knew you would be coming for us. He was right. I shouldn't have." Her words trailed off as she attempted an apology. "I am so sorry." But before she could finish, Jensen passed away. In that moment, a harsh realization hit Maya. She had arrived too late. Reflecting on her earlier hesitation, considering the lethal flechette rifles, Maya understood the tactical decision. Acting impulsively on emotion could have led to both of their deaths. Yet, the weight of her friend's demise settled heavily upon her, mixing grief with the cold calculations of battlefield decisions. Maya stood, looking down at her friend with a heavy heart. "I'm not a hero, Lara. I'm sorry too," she said softly, her voice tinged with regret. "I'm so sorry. All this tech, all this power, and I can't even save a friend." With 70 hours of power remaining after this exertion, Maya's internal computer updated her status. There was still time left, she thought to herself, but the weight of the situation dulled the comfort that might have offered. She then turned her attention to the last synth, the one she hadn't forgotten about. Jumping down, she landed with a heavy thud. The synth, having recovered somewhat, made a break for it. Maya watched him. "Just a dumb kid," she quipped, a mix of empathy and bitterness in her tone. The synth's desperate attempt to escape was futile, and Maya prepared to end the chase quickly, all the while grappling with the harsh realities of her existence and the limitations of her formidable capabilities. Maya approached him with a deliberate calm. She lifted him effortlessly with one hand, her face strained as she fought to contain her emotions. Devoid of tear ducts, Maya couldn't cry for her friend, but her anguish was palpable. As the synth pleaded for his life, she retorted sharply, "How many times did my friend plead for hers?" In the synth's eyes, there was a dawning realization of his inevitable fate. He wasn't going to escape. Maya harbored a cold desire to extinguish the hope he clung to, wanting him to experience the fear and despair her friend had felt waiting on the overpass, not knowing if she would survive. Despite her formidable exterior and battlefield prowess, Maya had always harbored a softer side, always hoping for better outcomes. Yet war seldom yielded them. War was cruel, and its lessons were harsh, teaching her time and again that even with all her power, she could not always alter the harsh realities of conflict. She let go of the synth, thinking he caught a break, that he had found a fleeting chance at life. Maya casually turned away. However, her detachment was a ruse. Activating a shoulder-mounted weapon, she silently targeted the fleeing figure. The weapon, equipped with a limited supply of 4 micro-missiles, locked onto its target swiftly. A soft whoosh followed by an explosion shattered the quiet, scattering pieces of the synth across the area. The act didn't bring Maya any solace. Her friend's loss still weighed heavily on her, and her attempt at humor felt hollow. "That was for my friend," she said angrily, the joke tinged with bitterness. This moment was a harsh reminder of the brutal realities she faced. It was a stern lesson Maya would carry with her as she continued her journey. Following the tracks in reverse, she soon arrived at one of the entrances to their city. With 62 hours of operational time left, the weight of her mission pressed on her, each step forward shaded by the memories of what had been lost and the relentless demands of war. Entering the alien city was surprisingly easy, which Maya found unsettling. Given the presence of dangerous creatures like razorfaces in this world, she expected robust security measures. Instead, all she encountered was a minor light barrier that seemed purely decorative, doing nothing to her knowledge as she crossed it. Once inside, Maya adopted stealth as her strategy, at least until she could locate the other 2 members of her team. It didn't take long for her to find one of them. Leon was in the town square, but it was a horrific scene. He was tied up and had been visibly dissected, his body displayed for what appeared to be the aliens' macabre curiosity. To them, a body with organs was likely as bizarre as their organless bodies were to humans. Maya couldn't help but wonder what had shifted their relationship from allies to this dark hostility. Finding answers would have been a priority to Neotech, but to her, the urgency to locate her brother overshadowed anything else. Driven by a blend of desperation and determination, Maya pressed on, discarding caution. The familiar layout of the city, due to having detailed schematics, aided her search. After another 10 hours, she finally found her brother. With her knowledge of its layout, she moved efficiently, but the clock was ticking. Only 52 hours remained on her operational timer, dangerously close to the point where returning to the portal, let alone back to her own city, might become impossible. Shortly after Maya found her brother, the city erupted into chaos. Alarms blared and explosions shook the ground, creating a diversion that Maya used to her advantage. Like a ghost, she slipped out of the city, her unconscious brother cradled in one arm, the experimental positron pistol ready in the other. However, as she neared the city's edge, an unexpected obstacle appeared, a synth loader. This heavy mech, ostensibly not designed for combat, blocked her path, challenging human knowledge that synths had nothing that could match a heavy cyborg in combat. As she confronted this first mech, a second one suddenly crashed down towards her. Reacting swiftly, Maya barely rolled away in time to avoid being crushed. Setting her brother down carefully, she reassured him with a determined, "I'll be right back, little brother. Don't go anywhere." Prepared to defend both their lives, Maya faced the looming mechanical threats, ready to fight her way out and ensure their escape. As the synthetic loader mech slammed its heavy arm down near Maya, she countered with a forceful punch, expecting the impact to send it reeling backward. However, striking the loader felt like hitting a truck tire. The mech absorbed the entire impact without a hint of damage. Moments later, the loader retaliated with a counterpunch that sent Maya flying back into a wall. The impact was severe. Her systems beeped with warnings as critical damage was reported to her internal systems. Even her artificial organs had sustained damage. It was clear these were no ordinary loaders. They were fully equipped killing machines. As Maya grappled with this realization, a third mech joined the fray, brandishing what appeared to be a sword. The sight of it sent additional alarms blaring through her system, escalating the threat level dramatically. Hesitant to use her experimental positron pistol but running out of options, Maya knew she had to act. The sword-wielding synth mech represented an immediate and grave danger, likely capable of cleaving her body in half. With a grim resolve, She aimed the pistol at the closest mech, preparing to defend herself against overwhelming odds. They didn't even react to her threat. Pure hubris. When Maya pulled the trigger of the experimental positron pistol, the weapon began to charge, drawing an immense amount of power and nearly overloading her circuits. In just a microsecond, it consumed 10 hours of her operating power, and yet the weapon had only reached 7% of its full charge. Despite this, she released the trigger, unleashing a blast that was on par with the one Omega Prime had demonstrated during their previous encounters with Razor Faces. The recoil from the discharge violently threw her back against the wall once more. As her AI reported multiple microfractures detected in right arm, the blast took the loaders by surprise. It disintegrated the upper halves of 2 loaders and sent destructive energy piercing through walls for miles beyond through the city, dramatically demonstrating the weapon's raw power, even at minimal charge. The sword of the 3rd loader clattered to the ground as it was taken back by the power of the pistol. Seizing the moment, Maya fired again, targeting the 3rd loader and further depleting her energy reserves. With 32 hours of power left, she knew she had to move quickly. She picked up her brother, grabbed the dropped sword, and hastened her escape. The weapon had given her a critical advantage. The loaders hadn't anticipated the humans wielding such a destructive force. This unexpected edge allowed her and her brother a chance to get out of the hostile area, holding on to the slim hope of making it back to safety. A day later, it was revealed that Lieutenant Nico Rodriguez was found alive yet unconscious in the ruins of the first megacity of old, a place so fraught with past horrors that its name is seldom spoken. His distress beacon was activated, signaling his location for a pickup. What they found was the aftermath of a violent conflict that had spilled through the portal from another world. The area was littered with the scattered remnants of a heavy cyborg. Too many pieces for there to be any hope that Maya had survived the encounter, her head and torso missing. Around these grim tokens of battle lay the remains of numerous synths, each bearing the marks of a positron weapon or slashed into fine pieces. The scale of destruction painted a vivid picture of a desperate, fierce fight. It was theorized that the synths had managed to track her down. With only a dwindling reserve of battery power left, Maya would have been forced to economize every last bit of energy. But when the synths finally caught up to her, she fought with relentless fury, determined to protect her brother at all costs. The encounter, though tragic, showcased her bravery and determination in the face of overwhelming odds. This last stand, marked by her heroic efforts to safeguard her brother, would later be commemorated as Operation Starfall. The title, while carrying the weight of loss, also honored Maya's valiant resistance against formidable foes, making her a symbol of courage and sacrifice. Neotech recovered both the experimental positron pistol and a synth sword, items that had been expertly concealed by Maya. Although they had not been specifically tasked with retrieving this exact artifact, the mission was broadly aimed at acquiring any advanced technology that could provide a strategic advantage. Despite her previous designation as a rogue, Maya's actions led to a re-evaluation of her status. The valuable assets she recovered posthumously played a crucial role in this change. Her court-martials were dismissed, and she was granted a full pardon, along with a posthumous promotion, recognizing her ultimate sacrifice and the completion of the mission initially assigned to her brother. Yet despite these honors, Neotech deemed another rescue mission too perilous to undertake. Maya was officially declared missing in action. Her brother Nico, upon fully recovering, faced his own set of challenges. His request for cyborg enhancement was denied, likely due to fears within Neotech that he might use such enhancements to undertake a perilous search for his sister. Feeling constrained and desperate, he eventually left the Neo military after exhausting all formal avenues to pursue her whereabouts. Driven by the same indomitable spirit as his sister, Nico sought alternative paths to locate her. However, his relentless quest ultimately led to his own disappearance, adding another layer of mystery and unresolved devotion to the family's saga. His actions mirrored the resolve and determination Maya herself had shown, underscoring a family bond driven by loyalty and the unyielding pursuit of their reunion. While Maya's story is far from concluded, the paths of the siblings would tragically never cross again. Their separate journeys, marked by courage and a relentless pursuit of each other, would continue to unfold within the expansive and mysterious Triverse. But that would be a story for another time. If you've stuck with me up to this point, a heartfelt thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to remind you that my entire channel is dedicated to the Triverse and its enthralling Mechron mechanoid saga, while many of the stories stand alone, allowing you to dive in at any point. Crafting these narratives takes about 4 or 5 days each, so your patience is greatly appreciated. If you find yourself enjoying what you see, consider exploring more of my videos. Each one, in its own unique way, weaves together more of the overarching story I'm telling.